This is the Polygon app, the part about patterns. I have already gone to the trail and I advanced to the first halt. So it already put this polygon on canvas 2. Here is where it said to do the polygon. This polygon is a pattern. Now I'm going to have to go back 9 instructions so I can see the values for this pattern. So I'm going to go back 9. Here we see it placing in list D the values for a pattern. The header for a pattern always starts out with a value of 1,230,000 plus the number of values in the pattern. Here it says 4. Patterns have relative positions. The first position, it says here, 500, 400. Well, patterns have a center of 500, 500. So here's the pattern, here's the center. That's 500, 500. But the first position is 500 for X. Well, that would be over this far, but only 400 down. So that's this point up here. That's the distance it has for the 100. The next one says X 600. Y is 500. Well, Y is the center then, but X is over 100. It's over here. And the next one says X 500. Y 600. Well, that's this one down here. Because X is 500, Y is 600. Now to see the next, we have to go forward our 9. And we see the last of the values for the pattern. X is 400, so that's here, and 500. Now those aren't actual X and Y values, but they're relative values. What we mean by that, we'll find out by looking at these parameters that it put before it did this dots instruction. It said rotation is 0, but it says the size is 80. Oh, well that's less than 100, so actually these changes are being controlled by this size value, not by the fact that this says the changes were 100, but the size value changed them. And also the center of this polygon is not 500, 500. Matter of fact, that would be way off the screen down here, because the total height is only 410. But its position is given before the dots instruction here to be 70, 70. This center here is actually 70, 70. The relative position for patterns would be 500, 500. But in this case, the X and Y are told to be 70 and 70. So this is actually 70 over and 70 down. This dots instruction makes the pattern into a dot list. That is a list of dots that can be used by the polygon fill. Well, so after this is made, there's a dots list, a color is set, and it does the polygon fill. And that's where it made this on canvas 2. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on advance so that it'll go to the next halt. And here it is at the next halt, right after it did another polygon fill. In this case, again, we'll go backward 9 so we can see the pattern's values. I didn't. So here at list D plus 20 is another header for a pattern, 1,230,005. So there are 5 values this time. They're all relative values again. In fact, let's go down here to the polygon. The first is this value, this one, then up here, then back down, and over here. Those are the 5 values for this pattern. Notice they're also in list D, but it starts at 20, and then 21, 22, 23, 24, and so forth. If I go forward the 9 again, I get back here and it shows you list D plus 25. Now in this case, R again is 0. The size again is set to 80. And its position is set to 70, 170. Well, it was a 70 over, but now it's 170 down. Alright, so there's another pattern, which has relative XY positions. Now, we're going to advance again. So I go over here, it's going to advance to the next halt. Here we see a complex pattern because it's not only has this pattern as its base, but it was told to place this value on every side of it. So now instead of being this shape, it has this shape on every side. Now notice that it didn't tell us the values of list D at offset 40. It just said list D 40. Well, we can find out what values are at list D 40 by going up to the red stripe where it says data. We click on data. Well, here we get to choose from all types of values and where they're located. But this is called an app list, and its name is list D. So I'm going to click here. I want to see list D. Well, I go to list D. Here at offset 0, I see the first pattern definition. At offset 20, I see the second. And here at offset 40, I see the combined of the two patterns. I see it says, for instance, it has 13 values. Well, the first is 500, 400, then 600, 500. Well, that agrees with this pattern. But then it says, insert another pattern, pattern 76 of size 32. Then do another point, and then insert again, pattern 76, size 32, and you'll see it does that 4 times. That was inserting that second pattern, the one here at 20, into the side of the first pattern. First pattern had 4 sides, and it's told here to insert the second pattern at each one of those sides. Alright, now while we're here at data, I'm now going to return back to where we selected what we wanted to see. This says over here we're in subprogram 6. Well, down here I clicked on subprogram 6 because I wanted to see the control registers and local registers for subprogram 6. Notice up here it set R to 0 and S to 80. Well, down here you'll see R is 0 and S is 80. X is 70, Y is 230, and down here you'll see X is 70 and Y is 230. So while we're on the trail, we can go to data to see what the values are at that time. Notice as we advance on the trail, those values may change. So I'm going to shut data back off again now. go back and see our polygons. And now we'll go and advance to the next halt. The only difference about this one and the one above it is this one allows the value of R to change. It goes and it gets the tick of the clock and puts it in R, the control register for rotation. It then multiplies it by 20. Now, it shows 48, and 48 times 20 is 960, and there are 960 directions. So this value in R for rotation is essentially going from 0 all the way through all the directions back to 0 again. Alright, this is the video about polygons made with patterns.